Pastor David, we're on. God bless you. Another late night. And Pastor David's at the restaurant again, you know. And just finishing another successful night. Thanking God for keeping us. And I just thank God. You know, I was looking at the video of Charlie's wife, Charlie Kirk's wife, her statement, you know, how not going to let his mission end, you know, going to blow up. I'm gonna read a little bit. I think it's about both time. Have you ever read the Corinthians, the second chapter, and it began to talk about how the devil didn't know. He thought he was doing something. Everything that the devil thought he was doing, it backfired on him. And it talked about it's the second chapter of First Corinthians, and I think it's the 5th through the 9th verse you see. He said, if they had known, if they were so small, foolish, they would have never crucified the Lord of glory. They'd have never killed the one that stripped him of power. Their death, killing Jesus, they thought, stripped them. Because remember, the law of the earth was, the wages of sin was what? Death, right? And if the wages of sin was death, because Adam, Romans the 5th chapter, starting at the 12th verse, it says what? By one man sin entered the world, and death through sin. For all men sin because they were born of that one man, Adam. So death passed on to everyone. No one had the ability to stop it. Okay, we got that. So everybody who sinned, because God said he spoke it, the day that you sin, eat of that fruit, you shall surely die. And so here we have that sentence being proclaimed and pronounced. That's all the devil had to work on. He said, I just got to get him to eat it so he can sin, so he can die. But so the law was, if you sin, you die. That's why everybody was born into sin. That means they all had an appointment with death. Okay. But I have a word. That's why it was important for Jesus not to be born in flesh and blood, not to be born into sin. He was the righteous sacrifice, or he was the righteous seed. So here he was, he lived without sin, and then look, guess what? And so he died. So the devil thought, remember, that's why the devil couldn't kill him. He said, no man taketh my life, but I lay it down. But see, here is the thing that really makes me just grab it. But when Satan made the attempt to kill Jesus, right, who had no sin, that broke what? God's law. So when Satan broke the law, then God stripped him of the power that he had. See, that's when he defeated sin, death, and the grave. Because killed and who had not sinned. So that law had been broken. Just like he caused Adam to break God's law, Satan now broke God's law, and now God had a way in to what? Intervene. Now, strip Satan of the right to what? Kill everybody. Now, isn't that something? So it's so important that we had. That's why I had a right to see, really. So, and as we get into this, you see that. So the devil thought he did something, but that stripped him. First Corinthians, the second chapter. I'm sorry, Colossians, the second chapter, and starting at the 14th and 15th verse, it talks about that. God stripped. God took all the principalities and demon spirits. He disarmed them. And what did he how did he disarm them? And he nailed, and they began all the ordinances through sins that we had been committed. And he took all their power that they had and nailed it to the Jesus cross. Nailed it to this cross. So if he disarmed them, he stripped them. And that's why he can say in Luke 10:19, I have given you power. Power to what? Over all the what? To tread on serpents and scorpions, those different classes of demon spirits, by the way. And physical and mental strength over all the power now that the enemy possesses. Up until Jesus, guess what? The enemy had power that he got from Adam to rule and to dominate the earth. But now when Jesus came, he said, now after the work of Jesus, he said, I give you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over. Now this is the part that's going to blow your mind. Ready? He gave them power to do that before he rose. Before he died. What you saying, Pastor? Oh, yeah. Because when he gave them the name to use, he said, in my name shall you what? Cast out devils, see? In my name. See, representing all that I have. You get to represent all the great who I am. I gave you a name to use, all right? All right. Before you were even saved, there's a man coming after us. We are his forerunners. He sits ahead of him, and he's coming with this kind of power. We're using the power of this man's name. And you wonder why that's how the crowds were always waiting on him. That's why the crowds was waiting, man, because the forerunners that he sent ahead of time in the power of his name, and he sent them with the power of that name. And
how long are you all being here?
About an hour.
An hour from now?
Yeah. All we got to do is cook just one day, and then we got. Thank you.
You guys will have to. One of us will come up at 1, but the store will be totally locked.
Okay.
So, because we're not usually having anybody in here after midnight.
Well, we appreciate that, your help. Thank you. And so, excuse me, that was the manager from the Walmart here asking how long we're going to be. All right. So it is important for us to understand. He said, so we asking, I was interrupted there. That was my train of thought here. So he had, he gave them the name to use, even though they were not, wait a minute, even though they were not saved yet, to go represent him. Go in my name, use the power, heal the sick, cast out devils, speaking, and see, but then he said, and these signs that follow them. Now they're talking about after now, Mark 16:17. This is after he rose from the grave. He said, these signs will follow them who believe now in what I did, in my salvation, and we're saved. Mark 16:17 is different from Luke 10:19. You can write that down. Mark 16:17 is different. This is after Jesus rose. Luke 10:19, right, is before he rose. What is going on? You, what? It ain't just dropping. I apologize for these people and insensitive people here, unthoughtful people here. I don't know why they're doing that, but they need to stop. I'm still gonna get this message out. And that's 3 interruptions trying to stop me. But I gotta say, I'm gonna tell it anyways. Now, what I was saying though, at Luke 10:17, remember Luke 10:1, he called 70 other. Luke 9:1, he sent forth the 12 apostles. Luke 10:1, he sent 70 other, okay, apostles out. 70 other followers out, 2 by 2, to where he was later going to come, it says, right? So, now, if Jesus had not died on the cross yet, and he had not rose from the grave, so they could not have been saved. So, but what did he tell them? And Luke 10:17 says, and the 70 returned with joy. Look what they said. The 70 disciples that came, that he sent out, right, returned with joy, saying to him, Jesus, even the demons are subject to us through your name. That's Luke 10:17. Read it. So, through your name, the demons were subject to us. Luke 10:18, Jesus said what? I saw Satan fall from heaven like a lightning. The falling star. Do you know what that means in old ancient Arabic? Do you know that name means Barack Obama? Did you know what the name Barack Obama means? The falling star. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And they tried to say he was the Antichrist based on God. Jesus was identifying him as the Antichrist. Well, his real name is Barry Soetoro. He took on the name Barack Obama. Ain't that something? So he did a lot of damage. He was like that. He was one of the most, I think he was the most damaging presidents morally that we ever had. He said he was going to bring in a woke agenda, and he did just that. And he did that. You got to remember something. One of the characteristics of the Antichrist, the Bible said in Daniel, that the Antichrist would be a homosexual. They said he would have no desire for a woman. Think about that. Father, so you knew at the end times that that agenda would have to be strong and acceptable, an aggressive one. See, that is the spirit of the Antichrist nature. It said that's his character. And that's why instead of just letting they go about their life and this is their sexual preference, fine, they are want to now invade you because that is not, they don't want to be at peace. They want to take over and they want to rule. They want you to put you to accept what they do or else. You know, they'll reward you if you do, but look at all what they do if you don't. And so as you hear this, and that coming from the characteristic of the Antichrist that was to come. When I have more time, I'll take you into Daniel 7 and Daniel 8, and begin to talk to you about the horn, the Antichrist, the one who shall rise up, coming from the old revitalized Roman Empire, says. Now look, and man, characteristics of it. But to stay where we are right now, these people were not saved beforehand because Jesus hadn't rose from the grave. He hadn't died. He hadn't paid for sin yet. But he had a name that he gave them. The name had the power. Okay. So the name had power to people who didn't even believe. But then, after Jesus rose from the grave, you go to Mark 16, before he rose from the grave, before he ascended into heaven, he rose from the grave and he felt to the people, he said, hey, his followers, he said, now, this is after. Now, he said, these attesting signs, Mark 16:17, shall follow them who believe. And then he began to talk about that. In my name shall you what? Cast out devils. Now, these are the signs that accompany the believers. The first one was the people who just used his name before and after. See, he said, you are going to have power. And you shall speak in new tongues. Right? He didn't say that to the ones in Luke. See, he didn't say that to them in Luke, you're going to speak in new tongues. No, he didn't say that to them. But they had the power to heal the sick and proclaim the kingdom and telling people that Jesus was coming. Okay. Cast out devils. They did. They had the power to do that. But they could not speak in tongues. So that's how you know, coming Mark 16:17, that testing signs, they should cast out devils. And they shall speak in new tongues, as he said. And if you drink anything poison, it shall not harm them. And then the fourth one, they said, they shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. And they shall recover. Listen to that. And so as you hear that, there's more rights there after than beforehand. So, and I want you guys to hear what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. If those people had that kind of power and they weren't saved, what about now? Look at what we have now after that we are saved, we are believing. And by then, when you have that kind of power, that's what God Jesus was talking about. He said, excuse me, because when they thought they killed Jesus, right? Now, the power was restored back to man that Adam gave over to Satan. Mm-hmm. And as Jesus took that power back and gave it to us, mankind, right? We walk in that power now. Because he killed one, but he freed millions. Billions of us got free because of the death of that one. So the devil thought he was doing something, but all he did is, guess what? God used his aggressiveness against him. He used how he was against him. He created a movement. The sons of God were restored by the death of the one son. So I just want you to know a little history on this. God always is ahead of the devil, and the devil can always think he's doing something, but God is always. Because he said, how can all things work together for the good of them? If the devil did something God didn't know. So God is always planning. He got a plan. And we are in that plan. And you are in that plan. And I want you to begin to tell that to God. You know? God, I trust your plan. God, I take your plan. I trust your plans. I thank you for blessing my life. I thank you for you turning things around for me. Now, sometimes you ask God, we question things like, God, this man was doing a great work for you. And some of us know we lived some, we had some bad past. But God let him come home and he left us here. That's something. We still here. He was reaching millions of people at 31 years old. But God left us here. God left you still here. What's that telling you? Hey, God, I still got work to do. There's still something that you called me to do. Maybe it's time for me to be about what you called me to do, God. Maybe it's time for me to be about your business now. Because it's time. In the name of Jesus, I really just think, hopefully we awake to that. And I praise God for every one of you. And it's going to be well. Now, I want everybody here to make a good move now. I want you to do something for yourself. Not for me. Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. I want you to begin to say, God, thank you for leaving me here. But Lord, show me my purpose. That I can fulfill a purpose for you, God. Show me it. Help me fulfill it. And I will do it. God, you left me here. Not to be lazy. God. Not to be contrary. But Lord, you left me here. So God, help me fulfill the reason why. Help me to fulfill the purpose. I know there's got to be some greatness in me. There's awesomeness in me. And I appreciate that, God. But Lord, let me start seeing the good in me. Here it is. Lord, let me start seeing the good in me that you put in me, that you see in me. If you say that prayer honestly, you're talking about having a talk with God. Be prepared to listen. Be prepared to let God just show you something like, hey, you're not so bad after all. You're not as bad as you thought you were. Don't worry. Like I said last night, your faith will see you through. Miracle signs and wonders accompanied the name by itself. You have the name, but you also have the life that backed up the name now. We have the life. The first 70 and 12, they had just the name. But us after Christ, we have the life of the name to use for the kingdom and the glory of God. Guess what? Just like they did, they told the world, they told the people that, hey, he's coming. He's coming after me. He's soon to come. The message still should be today. That's the message we should be telling today. Guess what? He's soon to come. The great power of the person. I walk in the power of the person who's soon to come. The great one, God, in Jesus Christ, the Lord of all, and he's soon to come. Are you prepared to meet him? Get ready to meet him. Get your life in order. Get your house in order. Why? The King is coming. Thank God for us. Pray for you in Jesus' name.